Hey guys, new episode today. Today we're going to be talking about AV receivers. AV receivers or AV amplifiers are multi-channel amplifiers. So they typically will power 5, 7, 9, sometimes 11, or maybe even 13 channels. Obviously, we're focused on a budget of under a lakh. So I'm not going to get into the super high-end stuff. We're going to focus on value for money options from a variety of brands, including Denon, Yamaha, and Marantz. A thing to note when you're picking up an AV receiver is that they generally, at any price point, will offer very similar sort of feature sets. So things that we're going to look for is, how many HDMI inputs do they have? Are they 4K or 8K compatible? Do they have separate zones so you can potentially run the same amp in multiple rooms in the same house? What connectivity options do they have? Bluetooth is fairly standard, but Wi-Fi doesn't kick in on many of the entry-level models. If that's a need, then you're probably going to have to overlook those models. Again, everything that I speak about will be put down in links in the description, as well as a table where you can neatly go over all the information about all the models that we've spoken about. With that being said, let's jump right into it. At number one, we have the Denon AVR-X250BT. It is the entry-level model from Denon, 135 watts into 5 channels. So decent enough power to power a satellite-based home theater system. I wouldn't try to pair these up with a floor standing system. I don't think there's enough power. It has Bluetooth, but no Wi-Fi. No room correction either. So if Wi-Fi or room correction is a need, then I'd probably give this a pass. It's a great amp overall to start off with. Denon has great reliability in general. They also have decent after sales. You should get this for about, I would say, 50 grand on average. And a great place to start if you're planning on setting up your first home theater system. Next up, we have the Pioneer VSX534, which is another very popular entry-level AV receiver. 80 watts into 5 channels, though I think the rating is more accurate than the Denon 250BT, which says 130 watts, I believe. I think both products deliver sort of equivalent performance. Again, both of them need to be paired up with a satellite-based 5.1 system. I wouldn't pair these up with floor standers. I don't think they have enough power. Again, Bluetooth is available, multiple HDMI inputs, 4K compatibility, missing out on Wi-Fi and AirPlay, but does have its own proprietary room correction. So if room correction is a big deal, and I think a lot of the time room correction does add that extra 5-10 performance to the overall package, I'd pick this over the 250BT. Next up, we have the Denon AVR-X550BT, which is the bigger brother to the 250BT from Denon. Fairly similarly spec'd. I think the major differences is that one, the 550BT can handle an extra subwoofer. So if you need that extra bass, obviously you're going to want that. It comes with room correction, which I think is a big deal. It's always going to give you slightly better performance overall if you get the room correction done right. The price difference isn't much. There's only a 6,500 rupee difference between the 250 and the 550. So if I had the money, I would definitely go in for the 550. I believe the 550BT also comes with a slightly larger power supply, and I think that shows itself in its ability to provide uninterrupted power, specifically in sections of the movie where there's a lot of dynamic stuff going on. So if it's available and if you can afford it, I'd definitely pick the 550BT over the 250BT. That being said, there are stock issues generally, so finding any of these amps I've just mentioned is a bit of a task in the current scenario in the market. Next up, we have the Yamaha RXV4A, which is the most serious receiver in the list so far. It's also the most expensive at 66,000 rupees. 80 watts into 5 channels, decent enough power, clean power. Will adequately power any satellite package. You could potentially look at high efficiency floor standers also. Has Wi-Fi, has Bluetooth, 4K compatible, 120 Hz compatible if you're a gamer. It's got everything that you could potentially need, including room correction via their own proprietary room correction. It has EARC. So really a great value for money option. If you have the budget, I'd definitely pick this over any of the previous options. At 66,000, I know it's pushing the budget, but well worth it. Finding them, however, in the current scenario in the market's a little hard, but keep your eyes peeled. They typically restock towards the end of the month, every month. Next, we have the Denon AVR-X1700H receiver, 7.2 channels, 145 watts into 7 channels. A lot of power, can adequately power floor standing setups, has every bell and whistle that you can think of. So we've got Bluetooth, we've got Wi-Fi, 5 or 6 HDMI inputs, We've got the ability to do room correction via Odyssey. Supports 8K, supports 4K, supports 120 Hertz. Again, for gamers looking to hook up to your sort of gaming device. It is the most expensive one in the list so far. Well worth the price. If you can afford it, definitely look at picking up the 1700H. It'll power a basic satellite system and make them sound very good, but it can also throw floor standing setups fairly easily. So it gives you sort of scope to upgrade. Again, hard to find them nowadays, though Denon seems to be sort of re-entering the market with larger amounts of stock. So I'd keep my eyes peeled out for good deals. The MRP on this is about ₹1 lakh, but you should be able to get it for as low as 85,000 at the right places, including the Revolver Club. As a bonus edition, I've included the Marantz NR1510, which is a 5.2 channel slimline receiver, 85 watts at 5 channels. It's called the slimline because it's approximately half the size of a conventional Marantz AV receiver. Does everything that you'd expect. Obviously Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, multiple HDMI inputs, the ability to hook up 2 subwoofers, Odyssey in terms of room setup. So it's got everything that you need. It's got a couple of bonus features, including the ability to pair up with Bluetooth headphones, which is cool if you want to use your amp and maybe not disturb the rest of the family. The main reason I've included this amp is that it provides insane value for money. The MRP on this product is about $1.06 lakh, give or take, but you should be able to get it for anywhere between, say, 60 and 65,000. So at that price point, it becomes very, very attractive. It's already competing with the RXV4A as well as the 1700BT from Denon. So if I was looking for a value for money option, I would definitely go in for the Marantz NR1510. So that's my list. I think there's something in there for everyone at every price point. I will now sort of go into a couple of details about the general AVR industry at the moment. AVRs have been sort of extremely overpriced over the last couple of years. The reason for this is because of the chip shortage that you've probably read about, and this has affected AVRs in a very big way. We're seeing this now change, so you'll see a lot more models available. You see pricing coming down. But for those wondering why AVRs have been so expensive over the last couple of years and why you haven't been able to find your favorite brands, that's probably the reason. I'd also like to go into a little bit of reliability about AVRs. AVRs are notoriously unreliable, specifically after that 3 to 4 year sort of age gap. Mentally, I want to be very sort of honest with you guys. Mentally factor in a 5-year lifespan on your AVR. Every day that the AVR lasts beyond that 5-year lifespan should be taken as a bonus. The good old days of AVRs lasting 10 and 15 years are done, primarily because there's a lot of tech that keeps upgrading. Notoriously known for giving issues is the HDMI board. There's a very easy way to avoid major damage to your HDMI board. Never plug in any device while the amp or that device is plugged on. We see this a lot with Tata Sky boxes. They've blown a bunch of AVRs. I've seen this happen personally with a bunch of my clients. So if you can avoid doing that, I think you'll definitely lengthen the life of your AV receiver. I also think that, a lot of people love to dump AV receivers into little consoles or also sort of cover them up with, pieces of cloth, etc. Avoid doing this. Your AVR is the nerve center of your home theater system. It generates a lot of heat. It requires a lot of power. The ventilation ports on the top are needed to adequately ventilate the unit. So make sure that those ports are open at all times. If possible, a little preemptive sort of maintenance in the form of a vacuum cleaner, maybe, where you can clean out those vents. That should see the device last at least 5 years. And like I said, after 5 years, mentally prepare that you're probably going to have to buy a new one. Everything that I've spoken about in this video, including the lists, etc., will be able to be found in terms of downloads as a PDF. You can view it on my website. Again, we've got a little precursor, pre-primer to AVRs and what they consist of and all the technologies inside of them. Again, can be found in links in the description below. If you have any comments or questions or need help setting up your dream home theater project, you can reach out to me in the comments or the email listed in the description. And I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I hope that I'll see you again on the next one.